Hello and welcome. This is Nancy Cooper, the Activation Alchemist, and this is your Alchemylia podcast. Today we're going to talk about dream boards and vision boards. Those terms can be used interchangeably because it's really the exact same thing. So the dream board is called a dream board because it's all your dreams, things that you want to manifest, things that you want to call into your experience. It's also called a vision board because it's done in a way for you to be able to see it, right? We're putting it out there so you can envision it so that it's part of your visual experience, okay? So there are several ways that you can make vision or dream boards. Sometimes people just kind of put them together, right? They just put a bunch of pictures up and they have positive quotes with it and they call that their vision board. I want to talk to you today about an actual strategy for how to put together your vision board. All right. There's a specific way that you can create them that's kind of like a mental feng shui of the outline of the board. So the board needs to be compartmentalized into different categories, and those categories are very important to have in the correct order. So when you create your vision board, you're going to have different quadrants and different sections. For those of you that did the burn board challenge, it's very similar to that. That's actually where I got the burn board outline, is from the same feng shui idea for a dream board. Okay. Now, I am putting together the vision board challenge starting in January. It starts January 11th. For those that are listening to this after that date has passed, that challenge is going to be accessible and available at any time inside the Alchemy Alliance membership. So if you're listening to this, 3 days after that or 5 years after that, whenever, you can still access it inside the Alchemy Alliance membership portal. Okay. But what we're going to be doing is we're going to go through how to create the dream board. We're going to go through the outline. We're going to go through the makeup of it. We're going to figure out the best way to connect with images that represent the things that we want. And then I'm also going to be sharing with you some new channeled light language sigils for each section of the dream board. Okay, so remember how I said it's going to be broken up into different quadrants? Each of those quadrants is going to have a type of theme, and there's going to be a light language sigil that is going to accompany each of those themes. That is going to help to amplify the energy that's there for that theme to help it manifest more quickly and more powerfully for you. That's going to be a really cool kind of like special sweet sauce to put with your dream board. No one else is doing that. No one else is teaching that. No one else is showing that I know of. So you're going to get a little extra something there by being able to utilize this process. Now, when you go into the intention of creating a dream board, you really want to make sure it's done from a space of releasing expectation. This is why it's really important to do this process with some guidance, because what we can do is we can really limit ourselves and our experience by placing a lot of expectations on our experience, right? We can think that things need to look a specific way. They need to come about a specific way. They need to be with a specific person. They need to be in a specific place. And when we do that, we are really substantially limiting our experience, okay? So this is something really, really important that we have to keep in mind. We have to think about the fact that when we try to control the outcome of something and try to make it look a specific way, we are creating a lot of constriction in our experience. All right. So this is why it's important for us to be mindful of how we put together our dream board and how we are creating that. Because if we're creating it from a space of, this is exactly how this has to look, this is exactly how this has to be, this is exactly how I want this to be, then we're really limiting our experience. Because here's the thing, we could say, oh, well, I want to manifest $1 million, when in fact the universe has $10 million waiting for us, right? Or we can say, I want to manifest a relationship with this specific person, when in actuality, the universe has someone else out there who's even more attractive, that is more in alignment with who you are and what you're creating, and will make you even more fulfilled in your experience. Okay? So we have to release those expectations. And that's where there can be kind of like this pitfall when people are going into creating their dream boards, because they think, okay, I'm going to make these pictures and then things need to look exactly this way. And unfortunately, that's when things get really stifled and we really affect the flow, right? We want to be able to be in the flow. So this is why dream boards and vision boards need to actually be very generic. Yes, they need to be very, very generic. That is super, super important. Here's an example. I was talking to one of my one-on-one clients yesterday, and she was talking about, wanting to manifest going to a specific place. And we were talking about how that can really stifle the experience, right? Because what we want is the experience. And we could say, oh, that experience has to be here, and it has to be at this time, it has to be in this way. When in fact, that experience very well may be more enjoyable somewhere else that we've never even thought of, that we've never even thought to think that I want to go there, I want to visit there, I want to experience something here, because we've never even heard of it. I had a very interesting experience with that myself a few, weeks or months ago. Honestly, it was within this year, within 2021, that I had a dream that I was swimming in a lake that was surrounded by mountains on all sides. It was like I was in this large crater, and the water there was perfectly blue, like sapphire blue water. And I was swimming there in this lake, and it was just this most magical, amazing experience for me to have. And that dream stuck with me. Sometimes we have dreams where we're like, well, that was cool, and then it just kind of flits away. Well, that one stuck. That one stayed, and I can go into my mind's eye at any time and kind of revisit that space. And then fast forward to a conversation I'm having with one of my friends, and she's talking about how we should do a retreat in 2022. And I'm like, okay, that sounds like a cool idea. Let's, look into it, right? So we start looking up different places that we could go to. I wanted to stay within America, especially with everything that's going on with... I just call it the plague because there's so many different versions and whatever, what's going on with that. And, who knows when things could shut down again and whatever. And at least I know that if I'm still in my country, that if I need to, I can get in a car and hopefully make my way back home. So that alleviates some of that fear that I have with traveling. That's a huge struggle I have. I do not like to travel at all. So I was like, okay, we'll look into this. And it was really wild because as I was doing that, I was trying to find sacred sites in the United States. Well, I came across one in Oregon called Crater Lake. I never heard of this before. I never heard of Crater Lake before. And I'm reading it, and it talks about how a local Native American tribe refers to it as it coming about by a massive war between I forget exactly, but pretty much like the guardians from above and the energies from below. So kind of like the translation for us that we would know in our westernized I guess experience, that would be like angels and demons, right? So they say that that's what caused it. Like the mountain collapsed during this big battle. Others say that it was created by a meteor or a comet hitting the planet. Others say that it was a volcano, and once it had erupted, it completely exploded and blew out like a big chunk of the planet, and then the water, just started forming inside there over thousands of years. There's really no, I guess it was the volcano because they have, evidence, but it's so interesting to think how this local tribe says that what really caused that were these energetic forces. And it's said to have this like amazing bright blue, sapphire blue water inside this large crater. And when I look at pictures of it, it looks exactly like what I dreamed of. Like if I were in that lake and looking up at the ridges and the edges, it would be exactly what I saw in that dream. And so this is something that's confirmation where it's like, well, I think I am supposed to have that experience. But if I had tried and said, let me look for this, let me try to find something like this, or let me try to make this happen, I really have a feeling that I probably would not have found what I was looking for, right? What ended up happening was I had this dream. It placed a desire in my heart, and then I just let it be, right? And then through all of these different experiences and through my friends and through their alignment and through different things, this comes up with my friend, let's do something. And then I'm like, okay, cool. I have no resistance, no expectation, nothing. And I end up finding this exact site that I was guided to in a dream. So the reason I share this story is because I'm sharing it because it's so important for us to realize when we are wanting to manifest things that we have to allow space in our experience for them to come in with grace and ease. We have to get in that flow, right? Life seems really hard when we're constantly trying to force and force and force and push. When instead we have to allow, we have to have this feeling of, okay, this is what I want and I'm going to allow it to happen. Instead of this is what I want, so I have to hustle or I have to force or I have to push or I have to place these expectations. That's when we start, mucking up the energy, even if it is something for us, even if it is something that is aligned for us, it is meant for us, it is destined for us. If we continue to go at it from a space of lack, fear, expectation, I have to make this happen, I have to push, I have to force this, whatever that thing is that we are trying to connect with, we're going to be pushing it further and further away. This is something that it's so frustrating because it seems so counterintuitive, right? We're like, but I want it. So why the more that I go after it, the more it's going away from me. I don't get it. And that is because we are trying to force, and force is repellent. Okay, so think of a magnet. Does the magnet go and say, oh, I gotta go grab this thing? No, it just is, right? It's just in its space. It's being what it is. It's a magnet. So it's going to immediately attach and connect. It's going to call that thing in right there. It's just going to, we hear that little satisfying snap when we put a magnet on the refrigerator. That's what's going to happen. It just is. The magnet doesn't worry. Oh, is this metal going to attach to me? Oh, is that refrigerator going to, connect? No, it doesn't worry about it. It just allows. It just does, right? It just snaps on there. So this is what we have to start aligning with. We have to know we are the magnet. I am the magnet. I release expectation. I allow things to come into my experience in an amazing, joyful way. we have to be in that space of openness to receive while also being allowing, being in the flow. Okay, so when we put together our dream or vision boards, we really need to be very, very mindful of that. It's so tough to see so many amazing people, they put the work in. They're like, I want to see this come together. I want to experience this. I want to have this in my experience. But then, it's like they've done all the right things, right? We've done the work. We've done it all. And we're like, why the hell isn't this manifesting? Why the hell isn't this coming into my experience? When we see other people, it just seems like it's so easy for them. It's so easy for them. And you know why? You know why it's so easy for them is because they've let go. They've released the outcome. They've surrendered their expectations. They have let it go. They said, I want this. I'm putting it out there, and I'm going to allow it to unfold in whatever way it is for my highest good. And then I am going to be open to the guidance. Okay? So this is the other really important part. A lot of times we think that things have to manifest and be created in a specific way, right? So we think, oh, I have to do that by X, Y, Z. I have to do that by doing this. I have to do that by doing that. I have to do this by doing this. And instead, we're like going and making ourselves exhausted. We're frustrated. We're burnt out. We're stressed out. It's just not fun, okay? When instead the reality is we need to be going at this from a space of, okay, this is what I want. This is what I want to experience. I'm putting it out there. I'm envisioning it. I'm aligning with it. I'm amplifying it with my light language sigils. I'm connecting with this energy. And now I am open to receiving it and allowing it to come into my experience. Next is I am open to receiving messages and guidance for this to come to being. Okay? This is, I can't stress it enough. It's so important. We do it. I've done it. I still struggle with it sometimes. Y'all know I am so real with you. I'm not going to bullshit or blow sunshine and rainbows up your butt. I do it still. I struggle with it. And we have to just keep working on it and saying, I release expectations. I release expectations. I release. I surrender. I allow. I flow. I release. I surrender. I allow. I flow. We have to stay in that energy, because when we're trying to force it, it's creating a repelling. It's creating constriction. So we could very much be like, I want to experience this thing. And then the most random, bizarre turn of events would manifest it. And we're like, and we look back, and I know that you've had this experience. Each one of us has at least experienced it one time, where you look back and you're like, I could never have planned this out myself this way. I would never have seen this come together like this, ever. This has been the most bizarre thing. How in the world did this manifest like this? How did this come together like this? This is the wildest thing. This had to have been divine intervention, because nothing else would explain it. And that's the energy that we want to stay in, right? Don't you want to live every day feeling like we are in magic, where we're being so open to allowing that we're like, okay, cool. This is the guidance I'm getting. This is the feedback I'm getting. This is the nudge I'm feeling. So I'm just going to listen to that. I'm just going to follow it. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to, trust and allow and be open and keep moving forward with what I'm doing. And if I'm not getting a clear answer, that means just keep doing what I'm doing, right? So that's the life that we want to leave. That's the life that we want to have. We want to be in this space of having fun, playing with the universe, being open. What magic do you have waiting for me today? What amazing, wild, way can something come to fruition that I can look back on and be like, that was the divine. There's no way, that was not divinely created and brought together. Okay, this is where we have to stay. And when we put our vision boards together, that's the energy that we want to put into them so that we can stand in a space of allowing. So when you put it together, you'll want to have it in the quadrants. You want to make sure to use the light language sigils, and you want to make sure that it's very generic. Okay. Now, for me, I do want to go to Crater Lake, so I will put Crater Lake on there, but I'm not going to have a time limit. I don't know. I don't know if that'll be this year. Maybe it's going to be in 6 years. I have no idea, but it is something I know that I want to do. So that's going to go in my travel quadrant, and that'll be, exciting and fun when it happens. And I know that it'll happen in a way that is beautiful and I can experience it with ease, and it will be an amazing experience. So if you want to join us for the vision board challenge, I'll have the link here alongside the podcast so that you can get registered for that. If you're listening to this after the fact, I'm also going to link the Alchemy Alliance so that you can hop in there and access it. It'll be in the challenges section within the membership portal. Okay. I look forward to assisting and working with everyone who wants to do the challenge with me, and we're going to have a lot of fun. I'll talk to you guys next week. Namaste.